Okay. So this is the training session for the NIC's payment engine admin, and this is the system that you'll use to research any transactions associated with the payment engine. And so you will receive your logins from BTS and the URLs for both the test system as well as the production system. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. How is can you all see that? Is the size okay, or is it?
Yeah, but you're going to need to speak up a little louder, please.
Okay, I don't understand. I've got it.
Well, I think you turn away from the mic or something, and it.
I haven't. I'm just sitting here. I'm not turning it all. I'll have to kind of hold it a little bit, I guess, so that it stays right in front of my mouth here. Okay, so I'm going to log in. I guess you have to use the correct password.
Small details.
Well, there we go. So this is what you're going to see when you first come in, and the first thing is our quick search. There's basically, most people have two menus they can go to. Over here is the search menu for the different types of searches we have, and then there's our reports menu. So the quick search, you can use this if you know specifically the order ID, and that would be the TPE order ID. So you may have a transaction ID on your system, but there will each transaction is assigned a TPE order ID as well, and that is should be printed on the receipts that people receive. So they would be able to tell you, here's my order ID, and you'd be able to pull it up right away. Another way to pull up an order would be using the local reference ID. And the local reference ID is an identifier from your system that is passed to our system to help you find orders faster. And I believe that in the case of services that have a customer account number, BTS is planning on passing us that account number. For other services, you'd have to talk with BTS about what it is they're actually sending us, so that you'd be able to refer back to your system. So if I'm in here and I know that the customer number is 1823, I can go in and do a search, and it's going to show me all of the transactions that this person has processed. So you can see there was one from 8/6, and there was one that I did yesterday, and there's one that I did this morning. Then this is the actual order ID that I was talking about. So if you can then click and go into that order ID. This is one from yesterday. Did I get it? There. And here you'll see a number of sections. Hold on. I think my screen is a little bit smaller than I wanted it to be, but okay. Typically, when you pull this up on, I think this is being, it's a little bit smaller because of the computer I'm working on, but when you're looking at it on your screen, if you have a I'm sure you have a larger monitor than I'm using. You'll be able to see this all in one place. But there are several sections to the order details. Here's the general information, which will show you the order ID, its local reference number, who the merchant is, the processor, which is kind of works in the background, the service code, obviously the date and the status of the order. This order has been completed. We have the customer information is stored here. On this side, we have the actual the line items that were processed. This was just a test transaction. And then we have the transaction history. And this is going to show you that there was an authorization, and then it was which was successful. Then it was marked for capture. We capture at certain intervals of the day. This particular test system is in the Eastern time zone, but your transactions will all be in Pacific time zone, and and your batch capture is at 7 p.m. So in this case, it was captured at 10 p.m. And here's the actual payment that was made, and it was also successful. Over here we have some order attributes. These are mainly internal, but there are some attributes that can be set by BTS, and I believe one of the order attributes that they plan on putting in this section would be the transaction ID from your back-end system. So you'd be able to tie a transaction directly to a transaction that happened on your back-end system. So that's the kind of the quick search and the order details. We also have an advanced search. And in the advanced...
Wait, before I had my hand raised, I don't know how you...
Oh, I can't do that. So, yeah.
I did have a question.
Sure.
If you can go back a screen.
Sure. Yep.
So for your processor name, or the is that going to be like the actual people that machine is assigned to?
No, that's strictly that's used on our system. When we create the processor, all of your processors are going to be going to, it's connected to a MID, the merchant ID. Each processor, each MID has a separate processor on our system. So you really aren't going to, that's not going to mean anything to you unless you're having a problem and you contact us, and that's mainly for us to know.
So how do we know the person who actually processed that transaction?
The person who did it?
Yeah.
Well,
so we have various staff that are going to have these, and it's really kind of necessary for us to know who actually did the transaction.
Oh, I see. That would probably have to be because this is mainly an online system, so I'll have to talk with BTS and see if they are going to pass us in the order attributes who the operator was that entered this. So I'm assuming you're talking about someone who's called in and has made a payment over the phone.
No, I'm actually talking about my employee who's processing the order, who's actually doing the transaction over the phone or in person with the customer.
Well, that will that will have to come from. I'll have to talk to BTS on that. They have not discussed. We don't have any way of recording that unless it's passed to us. So I will have to take that as a note and talk to BTS on how they plan on doing. It would most likely it will be down as an order attribute over here.
Okay.
Right now, do you get those reports from Gateway, or how do you know, Jay, from the Gateway?
I can't hear you.
I was asking actually, Murray, do you get those? How do you get that information right now?
It says on it.
On the gateway reports?
Yeah, I can track it back to who did it.
Okay. That part may not change actually.
Is she looking at, Maury, are you looking at the gateway report or are you looking at the virtual terminal you're in?
I'm looking at my virtual terminal. It's the gateway. It's my administrator stuff.
And what I understood from Chris is that part is not going to change. So I think it will stay at the same location.
Okay.
It's only the payment part will change.
Okay.
Okay.
But I want to make sure I'm right in my head too, that this is the administrator kind of thing. It's not open to just everybody. What we're looking at now, or is it?
This will be open to whoever they request access for.
Okay.
So it just gives us a list of the individuals who need access to this. This is strictly meant to be not for the operators. This is meant to be for the financial people who may be need to investigate,
right. Okay.
a payment. So, we also have. We can also do an advanced search. The advanced search gives us a few more parameters to try and narrow it down our search. We can narrow it down by customer, by credit card number, or if they paid by e-check, we can narrow it down to the bank account number. We also have the ability to narrow down the actual time frame. We can actually get down to hours and minutes of a particular day. In this case, as you can see, I just picked this one because I had some clean transactions in here for the Water Bureau and their different services that they will have online. So there will be services that, for the auto pay, the revenue fiat. These will have, the names will actually make more sense on production. This was just the way when we initially set this up. This is the names that we were given. So this would be the online. This would be the IVR transactions. The water service internal. This would be the service that, and you won't have to select this when the transactions are happening, but this is how they're grouped on our system. The water service internal would be the customer service reps that are sitting with the keypads keying in transactions. And then the water virtual terminal. So I'm going to select the virtual terminal, and here are the dates. These represent the statuses that an order could be in. There's an open status, a closed status, a canceled, and a failed. Open status transactions, you'll probably rarely see open status. That's typically when something has partially happened but didn't complete. Most transactions would be considered in a closed status. And closed also includes, when we look at the actual order, closed also includes pending. And it would be in pending when it is the transaction's been completed, but we have not captured the funds yet, because that doesn't happen until 7 o'clock. Canceled transactions would be transactions that either the person was on the payment screen and decided to cancel their transaction at the time, or a transaction that received an approval, but we also received notification that the address verification failed or the security code failed. And if your particular bureau, I believe all the bureaus are using the security code, but only some bureaus are using address verification. And if it fails those and you choose not to complete those transactions, they'll be marked as canceled. A failed transaction would be a transaction that came back that was declined for whatever reason from the bank. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select yesterday and today. And you'll see that I should have there were 3 transactions yesterday, or 3 transactions, and 2 of them were from yesterday and 1 was from today. And these have all, if you look at this section here, this means if it's committed, this means it was approved, and this will tell you whether it's open or not. So these were all good transactions. They didn't have any problems. So this one shows it's complete. And it has an off and a mark and a payment that was made. If I use the customer name, it gives you the added option of entering in the customer's name. This does have a wildcard, and what I typically do, because you're never quite sure how someone's going to enter their name, or if it's going to, they may be telling you this is my name, and it may be slightly different, and it is the full name. It's not just a part, the last name or whatever. So typically when I do a search, I will use the wildcards, and I'll always just kind of tack on the wildcard on the front and the back, because I know somewhere in there he said his name was, part of his name was Adler. And he wasn't sure, but his transaction was sometime between the 10th and the 13th. So then when I search, I can find, okay, his transaction was actually on the 12th, and his name was Peter Adler. If you're in here searching, if you just want to quickly change, you can, this will quickly get you right back to the search screen if you click right there. And we can also search by credit card number. And here it's just the last 4 digits. We only have 2 test credit card numbers. So if I search here for the whole month, and I want to see everybody that was ended in 5454. You can also narrow this down by the card type. So if you knew that it was 5454 and you happen to know that it was a Visa card, then you could select that, and it would further narrow your search down. So here are all the people that happen to, their last 4 digits of their credit card number all happen to be 5454. So there's several of them. But and then you could, with this list, then you could zero in and say, okay, well, it's Homer Simpson is the one who's the transaction that I'm looking for. Also within the advanced search, the bank account works much the same way. It is, but the account number that it's asking for is the bank account number. So, and again, it's still just the last 4 digits. You won't be using the billing search. That's not part of this particular implementation. Our order detail search. This is kind of like a very broad. I just need to see see the orders that came in. I'm not. I just want to look at everything that maybe came in for a particular day. And it's the same thing. I mean, I can look here. I can say I want to see a single day. I want to see everything for the month, or you can customize on the date range. So if I look for the whole month, I can see that there's a number of transactions out here, and it's going to show you that some of these transactions don't have an invoice amount. And so we can go and find out, well, what happened with those particular transactions, and I can go out here and look and say, oh, well, this was a failed transaction. Why? And it shows the authorization failed. Well, why did it fail? And it's because it was declined. When you're looking at it this way, the transactions that have also not, if it was the current day, such as this last one down here, this also doesn't show an invoice amount because this transaction was just done today. It's actually still pending because this one we have the authorization and it has been marked as being successful. But until we hit the batch capture time at 7 p.m., it'll stay in this status. And then at 7 p.m. we will capture and then settle with Elevon. Does anyone have any questions on the search functions?
No.
We're all good on that? Okay. Let's talk about the reports. There's a number of reports out here. Some of these are going to be more valuable to you than others. Some of these reports really don't pertain to the particular implementation here with the City of Portland. But there are some that are going to be very useful to you. The detailed merchant disbursement report. This allows you to look at transactions in a couple of different views. But the most important thing about this report is your daily reconciliation report that you'll be receiving if you're on that list by email is based on this report. So I am going to look out here and say I want to see for a single day. Hold on, let me make sure I got this straight in my mind. I think I did this wrong again. I did. It's the batch report. I'm sorry, not the merchant. Because we're not dispersing funds to you. All of your funds are going directly to your bank account. So the report that your reconciliation is going to be based on is the batch detail report. So I want to see all of the transactions for the 12th, and you can break this down by if you only want to see the specific credit card types. And when I run the report, in this case it's going to show me all of the processors for the Water Bureau. And on this particular day, there would have been 2 transactions, and the total deposit would have been $216. And here you're going to see here are the order IDs that were included in that deposit. Here's the merchant, which would be the Water Bureau. These were all done by the under this particular service code. But at this level that I'm running this report, since I'm running it for all service codes, I would see everything. If you wanted to narrow that search down, you could narrow it down and say, I just want to see the money that was deposited or from transactions from the ones that the customer service people entered from over the phone. And the file you get on the file that you're going to get in your email, those transactions are going to be based on your 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. Transaction day. The report, if you try to run that same report here, you may not get from the menu, you may not get the same results because all of our reports are based on a calendar transaction day as opposed to a cutoff time that the city is using. So that's why the report that you get from in the email is the one that is it's actually limited to the 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. Transaction day, and that should match up with your actual bank deposits. Another section of reports that are going to be useful to are the invoice reports, and all the invoice reports are based on these are orders that have actually invoiced. So no canceled orders are going to ever show up in here. No failed orders are ever going to show up in here. No open orders are ever going to show up in here. This is only going to be completed orders. And so if you ran this for today, you would not see that transaction that is still in pending and waiting. You're not going to see it on the invoice report because it hasn't actually invoiced yet. It doesn't show up as invoiced until the capture happens. And there's various versions of this report that you can run. You can get down to you can get item summary, you can get item detail. I'll run the most. This is the one that has the most information. So I can show you what that looks like. I'm going to run it for the Water Bureau, and I want to run it for the whole month of August. And you can see here we had 13 transactions. My mouse. There it is. We had 13 transactions on this service in the month of August so far. You see the order date, the order ID, the date it was invoiced. The reference would be, if the account base is going to tell you this is your local reference number, so this would have the account number for the person, the merchant, the service, the customer's name, SKU if that has been sent by BTS. That would be because this is the line item detail, so you would see the SKU information and the actual description of the line item. So that's actually, it's not that there were 13 orders, there were 13 line items. All of your orders would have, in this case, as you can see right here at the top, the same order shows up twice. So there were 2 line items on this particular order. And if I go to the invoice summary, it's going to show you, I'm still going to run it for August, still going to run it for VT. And now it's just going to tell me that, yeah. See, on the previous report we saw that there were 13 because there were one order happened to have 2 line items on it, but there were a total of 12 orders, and here is the gross revenue from that. We don't add any fees onto your transaction, so it's all cost of sale, it's all your money. If this had been if we had a fee added, the fee would have shown up over here. But we're not adding fees to any of your transactions. Your implementation is strictly a per transaction fee, and we don't add fees and pass those on to the customer. Another set of reports that are going to be valuable to you is going to be the order reports. And these order reports, the difference between these and the invoice reports is the order reports are going to show everything because it's going to show you canceled orders, failed orders. So you can run that. In fact, you can run that and say, I only want to see the failed orders. So you can kind of, if you want to do some research there and say, why are people failing? And so you'd be able to go out and get a list of all the people that failed and look at those particular transactions. We also have a refund and return reports. The refund reports, if a return is processed, obviously this is where it's going to show up. We have two different types of refunds. We have refunds that are marked and refunds that are issued. The difference between them is an issued refund is going to be a refund that was entered here through the admin, which I'll show you in a minute, for individuals who have the authority to do that. If they issue a refund, that's going to actually go through and do the banking and actually refund the money and put money back on the person's card. You have a 60-day window for issuing a refund through our admin screen. After that, we no longer have the full account number. It's been purged from our system. We no longer have the full account number. And at that point, you would have to issue the refund by some other means, which I assume would be like issuing them a check. But if you wanted to keep track of that in here, in this admin, so that if someone else was researching the transaction at a later date, you wouldn't want them to go and say, oh, I need to put in a request for a refund because it's already been issued. So you would go in and you would mark a refund, and that's only going to mark it on our system that it was refunded, but it doesn't affect any banking. So I'm going to look at both here. I'm going to run this report for all refunds. I can see that there were 2 issued refunds. And it's telling me, in this case, it's going to tell you who the person was that issued the refund because it's within our system. So I know that these were actually issued by me. Returns are, you can look at the return report. I don't have any that are in the system. Because the funds are sent directly to your bank account from Elevon, and we are bypassed for that part of the transaction. If a person does request a chargeback from their bank, and Elevon processes a chargeback, that will hit your bank account, but we have no way of knowing that it happened because we are completely bypassed on that because it's going directly to your bank. So then you would have to investigate the chargebacks and contest those. But if you wanted to keep track of who has actually done that, you have the ability to go into our system the same way. Like it's the same process as entering a refund, but you can mark the return. So you can mark in there and keep track of it so that, on our system so that if someone, again, were coming in and looking, they would see, oh, there's been, this was a return that was processed or a chargeback. Those are going to be the main reports that you're going to use. Some of these other reports are not going to have any, or do not pertain to your particular implementation. So I want to, are there any questions on the reports before I go show you the refund process?
No.
No? Okay. So I'm going to log out of this user because this particular user does not have the ability, and I'll show you that first. I'm going to find a transaction here. So this person that I'm logged in does not have rights to do refunds. So if I click down here on this payment link, oh, actually he does. This person actually, I'm sorry, this user does. I think I set them both the same. This person does have the ability to do refunds, but normally most of your users are only going to be set up with the access to be able to, they'll see this payment information, but all they're going to be able to do is go back to the order details. But I know that to do cancels, which I also want to show you, I need to be logged in as that other user. So let me go ahead and get in over there. Well, I was just in here. See, it's underscore CCP. Give me a break. I can't do this one. I know I have another one that will work. Ah, finally. Okay. So now if I come in here and do that same search, and if I go and find a transaction, I'm going to come down here to the payment link next to in the transaction history. There we go. And then I will see this user has the ability to create refunds and mark returns. And creating a refund is as simple as clicking on it, on the button. You can do partial refunds, so you can and it will not let you go over the refund, over the original transaction amount or the amount that is left. So if you came in and did a refund for $150 and there was $17 left, the second time I come into this, it's only going to let me refund $17.
So this is the only way to refund to, not through the little machine, but only here?
Correct.
Okay.
Because on here, you don't see, because all the actual account information is already been stored on our system, so you're not seeing. All you can see is, anywhere on here, all you can see is the last 4 digits of an account number. And if it's past the 60 days, you can't do it. It's going to give you an error anyway. You won't be able to do it at all through here. And this is where you need to choose whether you're going to mark it as a refund, or mark it as a refund or issue the refund. I'm going to say this one, I'm within my 60 days, so I know I should be able to go ahead. Bless you. I should be able to, and it tells me that the refund was a success. So now if I go back to the order details, I will see that now there is a refund transaction in the history of this transaction. And what I would do here, if this had been one that I marked instead of, I would probably do this regardless, but there are a couple different places you can add a comment. If you look back here, you could add a comment directly here on the refund itself, but then someone else coming into the order would have to know to go look over there for a comment. Typically, what I suggest is that people use the comments on the main screen instead. So I can sit in here, and if this had been a transaction that I was marking instead of issuing, I might want to say refund issued, check number 1234. So then when I come down here, added to my screen is going to be my comment that I added, and that there's a refund here, and I added a comment, and anyone coming in here looking at this order, it's all right here concise in one place without them having to go back into other sections to try and see what comments that might be buried deeper. Here you can see that the comment that I just added. Now for I'm going to go back again, and I'm going to show you for this, in this case, this is a transaction that I entered this morning, and it has not, as you can see, it's still pending. But now this particular user has the ability to cancel an order. So basically this means this was entered, somebody determined that this was a mistake and should not have been done. So they would go to their manager or whoever the person is that has the ability to cancel orders, and they can then cancel that order. And you can see now the status is now canceled. You're still going to see that it was authorized and marked, but the fact that it's now canceled means that it will never capture or settle. So that is. Are there any questions on canceling and issuing refunds?
Nope.
No? Well, that is pretty much the what we needed to show you for the admin. You will be receiving a login, and then you'll be able to go in, and your login will be tied directly to the services for your particular bureau on the test system. So you'd be able to go in there and start playing around and searching and running reports and things. So do we have any other questions?
I have a question. This is
Sure.
Julie over in Revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you sort of maybe mentioned that reports can be sent and via email. Are the reports, can they be set up to be executed automatically and sent to users?
Well, yes. You mean all the reports? If you have a specific report that you would like to receive, yes, we can schedule that.
Okay.
At this time, the only one that we know that's specifically going to be scheduled for everyone, for every bureau, and sent out is going to be the reconciliation report.
Okay.
But if you are playing around in here and you determine that there's a specific report that you run every day that's specifically for your bureau, and you want certain people to receive that report every day, certainly that you can request that, and that can be scheduled and sent.
Great,
every day. That would request. I'm not sure, because a lot of this is going to be taken over by the treasurer's office. So the request may go to Treasury, and then they would pass it on to us, or it may go to BTS. But someone from the city will have to tell you where you make that request.
Okay.
But then it would end up coming to me, and I would take care of it. But anything else? No? Okay, hold on just a second. I am going to